Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is Chet here from Avion Technology here in the Chicagoland area. Um, who are we and what do we do? We actually are a. I'm sorry, I'm trying to cover this little thing which is behind me. So who are we and what do we do? We are a digital agency that helps other digital agencies scale up. We've been doing this for the last 17 years. We've had quite a few successes in the last 17 years. We've helped a lot of other agencies scale up. So today's topic is about, I've been doing a series, if you've noticed in the past couple of days, about how to help agencies scale up. Most small agencies, So here's the thing, right? The business that we are in, it's a really nice business because the barrier to entry is really low. So for example, to be a doctor, you gotta do your undergrad, and then you gotta do your grad school, then you gotta do residency, maybe a fellowship after that, and that's when you become a doctor, right? To become a lawyer, you need to go to law school. A lot of education involved. In the agency world, you really don't need to do much, right? You don't need to know much. Anyone can start an agency. So that's the good part. Anyone can start agency, but the question is, can anyone scale up an agency, right? And that usually requires a lot of I don't know. It requires a lot of hard work for sure, but it also requires a lot of grit, persistence, also some amount of continuous learning, and of course luck, right? But you can't count on luck. You can't count on being lucky. So scaling up agencies is it's always a very difficult proposition. There's some research I saw which says that most agencies actually kind of start to flounder in that $500,000 to $1 million kind of annual range, and there's a reason for that, because that's usually the range at which you kind of need to have an amazing core team of people with you to kind of scale up after that, and the people who are with you need to be scalers as well. So I've seen that there's two kinds of personalities. There's scalers and there's non-scalers, right? And what happens is that if there's non-scalers in that core team with you, they usually end up slowing everything down. As opposed to that, if you have scalers in the core team, then they just like you, they can kind of build a team under them, and then you suddenly you go from like 5 people, 10 people to like 50 people in a span of 5 years. So today I'm going to talk about what I call the CTO bottleneck, and this is something that I have seen a lot of times in smaller agencies, right? So there's a very typical flight path in most agencies. You have you start a business. Sometimes you're a developer yourself, or you're a marketing person yourself, and you kind of get the first business through word of mouth or through people that you're working with in your former company, right? And usually that $0 to $20,000, $30,000 per month income revenue is pretty fast. It happens like this. But after the $30,000, $40,000 mark, that's when things kind of start to go a little haywire, right? Because you need more people with you to be able to deliver. So what happens is that usually your dev, the first dev that you brought on board, he ends up becoming the CTO, right? And then at that point you either hire more CTOs, you hire more devs under that person, or you start looking at vendors, partners who can do the work. Now if that CTO is an insecure person, or B, if that CTO is not a scaler himself or herself, what they end up doing is actually they end up essentially killing the growth of the company, right? Because what they will do is they will sometimes you get folks who are really secure about themselves, who are really confident, and these kind of CTOs, usually it's not an issue, but sometimes you have CTOs who are really insecure about their position, and they will fight this tooth and nail. So if you get a bunch of devs, you get like 10 devs under them, and a few of them are talented, the CTO will make sure that those devs are gone. Why, also, if you get a very talented team of like a vendor team, like a vendor partner team, and if the CTO feels that his or her job is under threat, she or he will fire them as well. Now, what happens in this kind of a scenario is that essentially the CTO monopolizes the growth of the company, right? He vetoes the growth of the company. So, because he or she is insecure in their job, right, what they do is that they kind of make sure that the company stops growing. And usually, what that leads to is frustration at the level of the CEO, because every CEO is in the business to kind of grow the business, right? And when the business is not growing, it's extremely frustrating for the CEO. So if you're an agency and if you're struggling with this, let me know. These are my coordinates. I always love to talk. I talk with a lot of small business owners. I talk with a lot of agency owners, and this is usually a recurring frustration with a lot of them, which is that they have a CTO, but the CTO is extremely sometimes he's arrogant, sometimes he's stubborn, sometimes he's just insecure. A lot of times they're really nice, A lot of times they also have a growth mindset, abundance mindset, but sometimes they have a scarcity mindset, and they will end up killing the growth of the company. So at times like these, you as the owner, the visionary, the founder, you gotta take things in your own hand, and you need to have a conversation with this person. Life cycles of business are, you typically the first 7 years are growth, the next 7 years are maturity, the next 7 years are the first 7 years are growth, the next 7 years are consolidation, the next 7 years are maturity, and the next 7 years after that are decline. So the first 7 years are extremely critical, because you gotta hit a really decent cadence of growth in the first 7 years. If you have someone on the team who likes status quo, who doesn't want to grow, who likes the way things are, unfortunately they end up slowing everyone down. So this is a point when you gotta have an honest conversation with your CTO. Personally, like I said, I've helped a lot of agencies scale up. I've also been gotten into projects where the CTO kind of set us up for success. He was very good at onboarding us. He was very good at giving us a 3-month learning curve where me and my devs we learned the whole process, and the 4th month onwards we really started delivering to the customer's delight. But we've also been a part of experiences where the CTO kind of sabotaged us and set us up for failure by not communicating, not letting us know the nuances of projects, not letting us know the minutiae about clients, and essentially after 3 months, when the team could not deliver, they fired us because they said that we're not happy with your performance. The agency world is a tricky world, right? It's an extremely red ocean market. There's agencies springing up all the time. Like I said, growing them past the $500,000, that $500,000 to $1 million annual revenue number, that's usually very tricky. And I always feel that you need a lot of names on your Rolodex. You need a lot of vendor partners. I always meet a lot of agency owners, and I talk to them, and sometimes they're like really proud that I don't work with vendors. I don't work with vendor partners. I'm like, that's not a right strategy, right? You should always diversify your resources. Some of them should be in-house for sure, but you should always have a Rolodex of a database of good vendors, trusted vendors, and make sure that you're farming out work to them, because you as the owner need to concentrate on growing the business. If you get involved in the day-to-days, in the daily operations, that just augurs badly for the growth of the business. You as the owner of the business have to be looking out 1 year ahead, typically, right? So you should be planting the seeds for new business 1 year down the line. You should not be doing monthly sales. You should not be doing monthly deliveries. You should not be doing monthly stuff. You should not be. Maybe you should, like, for the first 2 or 3 years, but thereafter you should not be involved in the day-to-days. You gotta have folks who can do the day-to-day stuff. And if you don't have that, then that's a big problem, right? So so this was my little talk. I was brainstorming the other day on what could be a good topic. to discuss, and I realized this could be a very good topic. The CTO bottleneck, how insecure CTOs kind of sabotage the growth of agencies, and the time that you lose in the process is golden, right? Because usually I've seen most owners, usually will start between the ages of 25 to 35, and if they kind of falter in the first 7 years, it's very difficult to pick up that cadence. And so like I said, if you have someone on your team who's kind of very status quoist and doesn't want to grow, and because they're insecure, then I think you gotta have a conversation with those guys. And you gotta be on the same page in terms of the growth. So Chet here from Avion Technology. I'm sorry about my electrical situation, this little panel that you see here, but this was the best shot that I could accommodate for today. And as a small business owner and as an agency owner, I just wish you the best of success. Running an agency and growing an agency is incredibly hard, and I just wish you the best of success. And if you want, these are my coordinates. If you want to give me a shout, I love talking to agency owners. Give me a shout. We can meet up over coffee. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you in another video. Thank you so much.